think self-leadership has a lot to do with knowing who you are at your core. We all have an inner core and an outer core. And that inner core is basically your soul.
Yeah.
So it begins there, knowing yourself. And I know that's what we're talking about today. And glad you could join us. A lot of times, the hardest part of becoming your own boss isn't building the business, it's learning how to lead yourself.
Yeah, that could be true when somebody is leaving the world of being managed from the outside. Maybe you had a job where you had some structure, when you had some boss who told you what to do. And
Yeah.
when you step outside of that into your own business, no one is there, right? To make decisions for you anymore, to tell you what to do. And yeah, that could be something new and something very special.
Sure, and it can also be intimidating too, right? If you're not used to having that amount of freedom, if you're not
Yeah.
used to leading yourself,
Mm,
that can really get in the way.
yeah, maybe we see it as a freedom at the beginning,
Yeah.
but then you realize how much self-trust and clarity and responsibility and yeah, this inner leadership it actually requires from you.
Yeah. Olga, how do you make that, like, switch that gear every day from coming home from work and then jumping into whatever it takes to build your practice? What helps you make that shift?
Yeah, right now I really feel like I'm changing my hats very quickly during the day, and it requires a lot of discipline, planning. I need to plan my day, plan my week, and be efficient. And sometimes it's not very easy because uh, I run out of time and the biggest mistake I make over and over again is that I don't take enough care of myself, and you know that very well, Rachel. Because then I'm coming to you so that you can coach me.
That is such a trap for all of us, right? I've done it too. I mean, you're burning the candle at all three ends. Like, how do I make this work and not kill myself? It's a very real thing. You're not alone there. And like I said, I've done it. I've burned. But as we both know, if you don't have your health, there's nothing you can do for anyone, much
Mm.
less build a business. So yeah, it's really, really important. And so what would you say has been maybe more eye-opening about this self-leadership when it comes to running your practice? Um, what has been surprising to you so far?
Yeah, that's a big part. And yeah, it's really becoming my own authority to actually um, start obeying myself and seeing myself as someone who, yeah, who can do what entrepreneurship requires from you, right?
Yeah. And yet you're someone that's so like you have a routine, you have a schedule, you have like we talk about a lot of the times, you have a lot of that masculine energy. And to be clear, for anyone that these terms might be new to, we're not talking about gender. We're talking about energy. Masculine energy is what you need to power through things, to create systems that work, and that's something that you're so strong in. Um, but it's that counterintuitive place where you recognize, wait a minute, I have to actually slow down to
Mhm.
speed up. I
Mm,
have to actually take a breath before I
mm,
can take that next step. And especially when you're in the personal development world,
mm,
that is really challenging.
mm. Yeah, so maybe this is a good place to discuss what leadership is and what is not, right?
Mm,
So you just touched something that self-leadership is not,
mm.
like being productive, being in hostel and this efficiency all of the time, right? This looks like self-leadership on the outside, but on the inside, yeah.
Well, it is definitely part of leadership. You have to get the things done,
Yeah.
and you have to have the systems and the structures, but like you've so brilliantly said in the last few episodes, you can have all the structures you want.
Mm,
But if you're building something that is not aligned to who you are and what your soul's purpose is, you're going to be stalled.
what would you say? What does self-leadership actually mean to you?
Well, I think self-leadership is has a lot to do with knowing who you are at your core. The way that John Mattone, one of the most known executive coaches in the world, explains this, I think, so brilliantly, is that we all have an inner core and an outer core. Outer core. And that inner core is it's basically your soul. One of the
Mm,
reasons that I really appreciate my training through this company is that this is the way I've always thought about coaching is that you like you've said, you can have all the systems, you can have all the things in place, but if you don't first know yourself, if you are not connected to your values, and you
mm,
have different layers of values as well, um, then what you're building, it won't be something that you can or want to
mhm,
sustain.
mm.
There are so many assessments and things that are out there, and I've told you I have a hard time with assessments because I'm so analytical. I read these questions and I'm like, well, it depends on what you mean, how I answer that, or what day it is. So it definitely begins there.
Mm. Yeah, that's a beautiful point that you just made. I think it's very important what you said, and um, once you know more about what you want to be, who you want to become, the next step is actually that you, in a way, you self-select yourself, right?
Yeah.
Because nobody's gonna do that for you. You say, okay, I can see this and this in the world that something is not working. I know how we could make that better. I'm gonna do that.
Yeah.
And you just go and start working on it, right?
Yes. Yeah, and that's a value, by the way. That's something called the altruism, where
Yeah,
you want to
yeah.
fix things. Times in business too, you hear about your why. You've said that it's very important to have a big why.
Uh, because this is a reason that you don't quit.
Hmm.
When you have your why big enough, you don't quit. It's hard and you're about to stop and to abandon everything. But if you have this big why, you come back and you keep going.
Yeah. I'm curious, has your why kind of changed over the years of building your business? I know it has for me. Like my why
Mm,
used to be, I just want to be my own boss. And I just
mm,
want to have the ability to create my own schedule and still make money doing it. And over the years, it's gotten a lot bigger. How about you?
mm. Yeah, it. actually started from being unhappy with the life and business, my business life, my professional life, and with that feeling that I'm worth more. So from the beginning, I was coming from this discomfort, right? From this pain.
Yeah.
But then started discovering who I really am, and that really gave me momentum because this is something that I would really like to discover, and that brings me joy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love how you light up when you say that. You always do.
Mm,
So, um, your business might be born out of pain. Like, I just don't
mm,
like what I'm in now and I want to change it. And then as you evolve, your why evolves. And you're right. It has to be big. It has to be bigger than yourself. So what is the problem that you feel called to solve?
um, it's like giving voice to people who can be leaders in this world that is changing so fast today. Um, because systems are falling apart, things are not working the best anymore. They're not at service to people, and there are so many people who see different paths, who see better possibilities, better solutions, and who are willing to lead in these chaotic times. So I see my mission as helping them so that they get the voice to start showing up and to start leading. What about you?
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel the need, just like, again, John Mattone talks about, there's such a gap in leadership in terms of integrating both heart and soul with the
Mm,
systems and the strategies. And for a
mm,
long time, business has been all about the grind, the grit, getting it done, reaching the top of the ladder, whatever that is.
mm,
Um, and it's been sorely lacking in doing that with heart.
mm,
And and I love how the mission of his company is to integrate both, and that's always been my my heart as well. And it's why I like to work with either people who are looking to start businesses or already have them,
mm,
whether it's a struggling entrepreneur or a small business owner. Um, I believe the world needs more of those heart-centered professionals like yourself.
mm, mm. Yeah, really. And how do you see this becoming aligned and actually narrowing your message with who you want to be and
I think it is fully aligned with how I want to serve and who I want to serve. I needed to have better messaging around that, and that's something I'm forever tweaking, as you know. But it's also, and you've helped me see this. I think part of my expertise is talking with um, highly sensitive personality or just deep feelers, whether that's their personality trait or not. Because once again, this world is so chaotic and it is so noisy that it's hard to be a sensitive in this world.
mm,
And I think there's starting to be more conversation around that. Um, and like I've said to you, this isn't anything to hide behind or pigeonhole yourself into. Like there are so many different acronyms and enneagrams and all these different things. Yeah, I'm
Mhm.
an INFJ, I'm a Virgo, I'm a this, I'm a that. But really, at the end of the day, we have choices. We can choose to flex those certain areas that we need to in order to grow and evolve. The people that I serve, the women that I serve, are also, as conscious business leaders, committed to.
Mm. Mm. And you mentioned narrowing down your message. I think the problem is how to put this intangible into words, right?
Yeah.
Because you're actually selling transformation, and this is so hard to actually describe and to put into words, right?
Yeah, it can be. And, I had a background in sales before I started coaching. I sold everything from sharp objects. I would show up at people's houses with these very sharp knives.
That's a good one.
I did. They let me. Um, and this was shortly after I got through the whole cancer thing, and I knew I wasn't going back into the corporate world, but I didn't know for sure what I was doing. And so this was the first thing that I tried, um, which is funny now that I think about it. Every time I went, it was the same thing. The people would agree to let me show up and do a demo. Sure, you can come, but I'm not buying anything. Okay, no problem. I'll just practice. And without exception, I'm sorry, one exception, every single one of those people ended up buying $500 to $700 kit. Not because I pushed them, not because I tried to convince them. I didn't do any of those things. What I did do, I made a genuine connection with them.
Mm.
They quickly trusted me. And then the most fun was I had them practice with these knives. They did everything from slice a tomato to cut a penny with a pair of scissors or cut through an actual rope with these knives. There were three things why that turned into a sale every time: genuine connection and trust,
Yeah.
an engaging story,
Mm.
and they got to participate. So you
Mhm.
can imagine. Oh, and then after that, I sold printers and printer services for a while in the middle of like retail settings. And again, I did very well with that too. But then when it came time that I pivoted from that world into this world, where, like you said, you're offering presents, how do you, what, how do you like put that into words? How do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
sell that? You know?
Mm.
And of
Mm.
course, there are a bazillion different ways that people will tell you to do it. You've got to go about it in a way that sits right with you.
Mm.
And I think that's half the battle right there, is figuring out what that even is, which again
Yeah.
comes back down to values. What are
Mm.
your values?
Yeah, and also seeing, as you said, and recognizing the value of your work and of your experience and of your values. That's not so easy. Talk about yourself, right? Both things are challenging, but to actually see what is the value that could be helpful for others and put that into words in the way that resonate, people stop scrolling and pay attention, that is a real challenge. Yeah. Yeah, what changes when you trust your own message?
When you trust your own message, people trust you easier. They're
Mm.
more likely to consider working with you.
Mm.
I can't speak for everyone, but I don't want to be coached by someone that I don't trust.
Mm.
Trust is first. And I have had Just recently, I told you this story. I had someone uh, try to coach me that I never talked to before in my life and did not realize that's what the call was about. And let's just say it was not the best moment of either of our days. I was not ready for that. I was not open to that. And things were not kindly communicated at all. So,
Mm.
um, great example of who and what I don't want to be. You know, in a way, that's part of business too, is or life in general. Is I know, especially when I was a lot younger, I identified what I didn't want to be and what I didn't want to do first. Without trying to, I had so many examples of leadership in my life that even as a child, I filed it under, and I will never lead like that. I do not want to ever do that to someone. Um, I have a lot of those, and very few, a growing number, but very few of the people in the leadership I do want to emulate.
And yeah, and when you really have this message and when what you're offering is really aligned with who you really are, I think it's much easier to build this momentum, to build those connections that you're talking about. And when you get responses from people, when you uh, get in touch with them with real problems, real talking, I think that also fuels you, right? It gives you um, ideas how to develop your stuff. And I think this is the way to build the momentum.
Yeah, I agree. And you can even take that outside of the coaching world too, right? You
Absolutely.
can, because
Yeah.
all of these principles apply to whatever business you might be
Mm,
building.
mm,
Being able to um, process things through as you're growing your business, as you're building your business, is so crucial too. To have, and I mentioned it, I think in the HSP episode, right?
mhm.
Um, to have someone that you do trust to be
Yeah.
that mirror to
Mm,
speak into not just your business, but your life, where it's
mm,
not so much always about strategy. A lot of times, I think when people are wanting to start a business, the first place they go in their mind is, I'm going to think about asking so and so to join me, whether it's a friend, a neighbor, someone that you think you know and trust, and you do know and trust personally. What would you say about bringing people, whether it's family or friends, into business? How do you feel about that?
for me, it's not an option. Yeah. What about you?
Well, I would say it's not a great idea to involve friends or family, but I have to say I must be the exception to that rule. Um, because I have had great experiences that way. Um, and a lot of times clients become friends. This comes back to what boundaries are all about. You have someone in your life that you could potentially help or serve, whether it's as a coach or something else. Um, and you have a strong enough boundary where it's not going to, one is not going to interfere with the other. They can be a client, they can be a customer, and they can also be the friend that you know. If you can have a strong enough boundary where neither one of those things are compromised,
Mhm, mhm,
go for it. I think it's rare, but I think in this way I've lucked out. I'm so grateful for. This is how Olga and I first met. And then, we began coaching each other. And it works because we have those boundaries.
mhm,
And even people in the coaching world might be like, "Oh, that's a bad idea." It's not.
mhm,
It has not been. Um, it's been excellent. And so I'm proud of that. But just to say, if you're considering bringing friends or family in, I would just urge you, make sure that those boundaries are in place, because you don't want to lose a friend, but you you need to also be who you are in the professional zone without thinking about how that might affect your friend.
Mm,
So it
mm,
takes a very special kind of person to be able to hold both of those.
mm.
And I'm fortunate to have some of those, including you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a beautiful friendship, which
Yes.
we are able to be friends, and we have this opportunity to cooperate, to be together, to build together our businesses, and this is really rare opportunity. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so grateful.
Yeah. Me too.
So, as I mentioned, I don't talk a lot about my business with my friends and family. Now I'm talking more as I used to, I don't know, a few years before, a few years ago. But it was more about that I wasn't feeling ready enough to actually tell them, okay, I do this and this and that, because I actually was not, I was just doing something and I was actually ashamed because I was just doing something and earning nothing, you know? And that is why I just didn't want to talk to my friends or family about it.
Yeah.
But that's changing now.
Yes. Yeah, it sure is. You're showing up everywhere.
Yeah, I'm showing up now. Okay, what do you wish you knew earlier?
Yeah, I wish that I knew how important and exactly what self-leadership is. I wish that I knew how crucial it would be to have a coach and a mentor.
Mm,
It's funny, I actually had coaches and I had mentors, just not from my business. Yeah, I wish I did that a lot earlier.
mm.
Um,
So this is something that you would say to someone that begins their journey?
yeah, absolutely. Because if you
Mm,
don't have that foundation, I know it sounds cut and dry, but if you don't have that foundation, you have nothing. It's
mm,
a, especially now because we are in this age of conscious leadership, which is probably a whole other show we have to do. Um, the old systems are not going to stay standing. They're not.
mm.
I promise you, they're not. They're already crumbling. You can call me a dreamer if you want, to quote John Lennon. But no, I really believe the old systems are crumbling. New things are being built and rising around us. And it's going to require that the people leading know themselves, integrate very well who they are with uh, who they are with their heart and soul, as well as what they actually do. In order
Mm,
to lead the people that they want to lead, they have to be able to integrate both. Um,
mm,
as because I believe the people being led want to see that in you.
mm,
I don't care whether you're selling PDFs, you're a coach, whatever it is, if you're leading people, this isn't something you're going to be able to get around.
mm. Yeah, so beautifully said. Yeah, you have made a beautiful point here, really. Mm.
What would you say to someone who's just starting out, Olga?
Yeah, I would agree to what you said, to most of what you said, and I really think it's important to not be alone with your thoughts and your problems, because yeah, you solve them all, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of energy. If there is a chance to get you someone, to a coach or a friend or someone, I think it's so valuable and so important.
Yeah,
If you don't want to lose years and years spinning around in your head and yeah, not making any progress.
I love my friends and I love my family, and they've been so helpful in different ways. It's important to have someone who can be objective,
Yeah.
who can be that outside voice.
So maybe the question to sit with it is this: where in your life or in your business are you still waiting for permission, for certainty, or maybe for someone else to guide you in the way instead of leading yourself? And what would change if you trusted your own authority more than outside validation? If this conversation resonated, share it with someone who may be in that exact place right now and needs to hear it. And if you want to connect with us, as you'll find everything in the show notes. There is something that my hair is like.